What's up? Welcome to the very first episode of JAR Sports Takes. This episode, I'm going to be talking about the expectations of the Dallas Cowboys coming into 2024. Last year, obviously, very disappointing end of the season. Go 12-5 during the season, slip into that first seed in the NFC East, second seed in the NFC completely. Play the Packers, look terrible, down 27-7 at halftime. Just didn't look how they did during the regular season, which is, a common theme the past few years. So once the offseason started, Jerry Jones talked about they're going to go all in this offseason. And obviously, Jerry Jones and the fans had two different meanings of that because we did not make any free agency moves coming right into offseason. Waited a few months on Eric Kendricks, linebacker, played for the Chargers last season. I feel like that was a big addition with LVE, retiring. But, going into the season, what will the Dallas Cowboys be? Personally, I think once again, they'll be a top 10 squad. They have enough. Even though people didn't like the moves that they did in the offseason, they didn't do enough. They didn't go get Derrick Henry. They didn't go get another wide receiver too to, complement CD Lamb. But if you do look at the roster with the rookies that we have now, the impact that they're going to play, I do think they are relatively at the same talent level, if not a little better. Regardless of how you put it, this is going to be a good football team. I think the bottom barrel is definitely 10 games to win, and I think that'll obviously sneak into the playoffs with a sixth or seventh seed. I do think the ceiling is 12-5. I don't know if they're going to be able to get better than that. 13-4 would be great, and then you're at a possibility of, winning the NFC. As I stated in this article, I do think they win the division. I don't think the Eagles have a great year. They looked very bad in the final stretch of their season last year, so I expect that to, carry into this season. They did make a lot of moves and they did get better. I will say that Saquon's a big addition. Bryce Huff on the defensive end's a big addition. But will them guys play well? I mean, they signed James Bradberry. He's been pretty bad as an Eagle. And just last season, they signed Kevin Byard to a contract, and he is already not an Eagle. He's going to the Bears. It's just they sign these guys, and they usually don't pan out. It seems like in recent memory, at least from what I can remember right now. But resuming on the Cowboys, I do think they go 12-5 this season. I think they win the NFC East, and they have to make the NFC Championship. Simple as that. If they don't make the NFC Championship, I think there's going to be big changes. McCarthy will be gone. Obviously, I'll speak on Dak in a few minutes, but that contract extension, not getting the extensions, everyone's talking about it right now. It's just if they go out and get another coach, it could be a complete rebuild. Never know who comes in and what he wants to do. So, I think that's the bottom. They have to make the NFC Championship for Mike McCarthy to keep coaching that. So in the past few weeks, the Dallas Cowboys finally made some moves. We signed Linval Joseph to, toughen up that run defense. They signed Jordan Phillips from the Giants. He came over. Signed Dalvin Cook, Carl Lawson. They got, like I said about the Eagles, they signed a bunch of, older veterans with, lengthy resumes, but will it pan out? They're past their prime. Obviously, we're banking on it working out, banking on them to have, a little more in them. But as for Joseph and Phillips, I really do think they improved the running game. We looked bad in the playoffs last year against the Packers in the run defense. Carl Lawson, he's going to be on the practice squad to start the season, so we'll see if, he still has it in him. Two major injuries past 2 years, so it'll be hard to come back for him. And then, Dalvin Cook. I mean, 5 years ago, if you told me Dalvin Cook's going to be alongside Zeke in the backfield, I'd say we're going to win the Super Bowl. Run the ball every play, get him out in space, screen. But that's simply not the reality anymore. Like like I said in the article, probably the worst backfield in the NFL right now. They're just past their prime. Rico Dowdle's going to get the majority of the carries, I would assume, even though Zeke's going to be starting, they announced. But even with that, with the talent in the backfield, I think this offensive line is going to be a top five offensive line in the run game, in the pass game. I love the guy in draft. I love drafting Beebe. I think that improves the offensive line immensely all over. And of course, they're going to have a few rough games here and there. They're rookies, it happens. But overall, I think this is going to prove to be, a great draft in 2024, and it's going to prove down the line. Also, with Dan Quinn leaving, go coach the Commanders, I think Mike Zimmer comes in and does a fantastic job. They're moving from a 3-4 to a 4-3 defense. Zimmer is, very well respected around the league. He has a resume. He's coached with us before. He's won a Super Bowl with us before. I do think it's the change that the Dallas Cowboys needed defensively. Michael Parsons has been talking all offseason about how he's going to be a chess piece. He's going to be moving all around the field. Zimmer said, just play ball, let him do the thinking, which I love. Let the guys play ball. He's going to coach defensively. I think it's been one of the biggest things why we can't get over the hump. They always look bad in the playoffs, and they always put the blame on Dak. So I'm hoping Zimmer comes in, does a good job, takes some of the pressure off Dak, and can lock up in the postseason because that's when it matters the most. Obviously, I wrote in this article, CD got signed. Took too long in my opinion, but I'm glad they finally got it figured out. 4 years, 136 million. Pretty sure $38 million signing bonus, which is the largest in history for a Dallas Cowboys receiver. Love it. Keep the guy, top three receiver in the league. Nothing more to really say on that. So here we are, Dak's extension. I could talk about this probably for hours on end, but I'll try to keep it short. The man needs to get signed. It's as simple as that. He's a top five quarterback in the league. Look at the numbers. If we're talking strictly regular season, he's a top five quarterback. He has the same number as Mahomes in the past, I want to say 6 seasons, regular season wise. Obviously, the playoffs, whole different animal, but I think he gets way too much of the blame. Nothing's ever put on the defense, and it's because he has a star on his helmet. They're going to criticize him. I see it every day on every single talk show. It's constantly bashing Dak, and I just don't think it's right for a quarterback that has a resume during the regular season. There's only so many guys that can win a Super Bowl. You see Mahomes, he's an anomaly. Other than that, Josh Allen, Lamar, Hurts, any of these guys, they failed in the playoffs. They can't win a ring. But you will never hear the type of criticism that Dak gets. And it's a shame. It's just not right to me. I'm glad I waited a day to do this episode because Stephen A. Smith came out with an interview with Jerry Jones, and they hinted at maybe a 5 year extension. That's what Jerry Jones kind of referred to. He kind of slipped up and said it. So if he's going to get a 5 year deal, I'm all for it. Sign the guy. Because that's one thing I don't think people think about. If he leaves, where do they go? Because you're not going to get a top 10 draft pick to draft a high quarterback in the draft. It's just not going to happen. There's too much talent on this team, and you see what Prescott can do. If there's injuries, something like that, obviously changes everything. But if he stays healthy, he's going to have an MVP type season. We're going to have a 20, 20 and higher pick, and then you can't get a good quarterback. So, and then it says last year the deal. What do you do? It just doesn't make sense. Sign the guy, you know what you're getting. He's going to win games. And once I feel like he gets over that postseason hump, if we can win 2 playoff games, stay in the wild card, stay in the division, go to the NFC Championship, I think all that goes out the window. But there's been obviously mixed reports. Ian Rappaport said it's farther than it is closer. There's been some Dallas Cowboys reporters in the building that say it's closer than farther. So who really knows? I feel like Dak and Jerry are the only two that really know what they need to do to get this done. So just some final thoughts on, my predictions for this season. Going into this season, I've definitely been at, my lowest in hopes of, making a playoff run, making a deep playoff run, reaching a Super Bowl. I just haven't felt it this offseason. I don't know if that's the media putting stuff out and me kind of just buying into it or what. But, the more I look at it, the more as the seasons came and I've looked at, what they've done with this roster, who they've signed, they still have a great team. Whether you like it or not, they're going to be a top 10 team. Just whatever way you put it. Unless a major injury happens, that changes things, like I said. But, the only teams that, I can see competing is San Fran, Detroit, if they stay on what they did last year, and, Philly. I mean, that's the top four teams in the NFC. The Packers are getting better. The Bears are getting better. Seattle and the Rams are always up there, decent teams. But I just don't see any other teams competing with those top four. And, anything can happen come postseason. Let's hope, we get some luck in our way. Obviously, I'm praying on a good season. I hope, a lot comes of this season because I'm excited to finally watch football again. It's been 200 plus long days without it. Nonetheless, I do think they fall a little short again. I think, a major change is coming coaching wise. I don't know how the roster will, be revamped after that, but, I'm going to stay hopeful. But, I've learned to trust my gut when it comes to football and, life in general. So we'll see how it goes this season. So I'll also give my predictions for this week's game against the Browns. They're traveling to Cleveland. Obviously not going to be an easy game. It's game of the week. Tom Brady's first game announcing in the NFL. Think it's going to be a low scoring affair. Both defenses are great. I mean, I think they'll both be top 10 defenses. Myles Garrett, very scary for Gutton for his first NFL game, even though he said he's not worried about it. He doesn't get nervous. We will see how that goes. But, Deshaun Watson does not scare me. He just hasn't been the same player since, all the allegations, all the legal stuff happened. He has to prove that he's the same guy. Obviously, Nick Chubb's not back yet. They have Jerome Ford back there. They have some weapons. Obviously, Amari Cooper is going to be, scary in the first game against Dallas. They got Jerry Jeudy. I mean, I don't think he's, that guy, but I do think it would be a nice piece on the outside for Deshaun. They got Njoku. I love him as a tight end. Overall defensive wise, I think, they got a good thing coming. Fancy just said, recently about how, well Dak plays and, all the things that he does on the offense, how he controls the offense. And, you really got to prep for a guy like that. So they know what to prepare for. I think they'll be very well prepared. I think Dallas does keep this game close. I don't want to say that they're going to win it. I mean, I think it's going to be a close game. I think it'll come to the very end. I would love to come out with a W, and I'd love to say I'm confident in a W, but we're going to see where we're at. We're only a few days from seeing how this Dallas Cowboys team is going to operate on the field. I'm excited for it. But I do think, they come out with an L this first week, and, it's going to be the talk of every sports talk show early Monday morning and throughout the whole week talking about, they didn't do enough in the offseason to be prepared. They didn't do enough in the offseason, to go make a playoff run, just the overreactions of week one. Just happens every year, so I would not be surprised about it. So at the end of all my episodes, I'm going to want to do a bet of the week, for the Dallas game in specifically. So I'm just going to give, quick little parlay, hopefully it hits. So this week I have Jake Ferguson, anytime touchdown. I have under 40.5 points. And then I have Dak Prescott 225 plus. Right now, that is 1,100. If you can see it on there, it's backwards. I will put it on the screen nonetheless. But yeah, hopefully, first bet of the season cashes. Obviously, tonight is the Chiefs versus Baltimore. I'm very excited to finally watch some football. Tomorrow, we got the Eagles in Brazil versus the Packers. It's finally here. I'm very excited. Hope you all are too. Hopefully, you got to the end of this video. Hopefully, it wasn't too long. Hope it gets around 10 to 15 minutes. But yeah, thanks for watching. I appreciate everything. Like, comment, follow. Appreciate it. Thank you.